Hello and welcome to another edition of the Y&R Mini Spotlight. I'm your host, James Lott Jr. And I got two gentlemen that I've always wanted to talk to. I get to because they both are Emmy winners. Yes, they are Daytime Emmy winners. One for lead actor in a drama series, the other one supporting actor in a drama series. Both from Y&R. I'm wearing my shirt repping for the show. And I'm so glad to have both. They're both great guys. And I'm going to start talking now. Bryton James and Jason Thompson. Hi, fellas.
How you doing, man?
Good. Welcome to the show. I'm fans of both of you. I've watched both of you for a long time. Bryton literally watched you grow up. I feel old watching you now. You're like a grown man. It's crazy.
I feel old looking back as well on myself. Thank you.
And Jason, I was a huge fan of yours when you were on General Hospital. I used to won some Emmys back then, but another story. I could watch you read the phone book, so I'm happy to have both of you guys on the show.
So thank you very much, man. Thank you for having us.
I'm actually going to start with Jason because congratulations, first of all. Lead actor, drama series, really great. The role of Billy, for some reason, wins people actors at Emmys.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's a rich character. He's got a lot of depth, and he kind of zigs and zags all over the place. So he's a fun character to inhabit for sure.
How do you describe Billy to people?
List is long. Depends on the day. No, but he, like I said, what I really appreciate about him is that I do really believe that he's got a big heart. He cares a lot about people. And sometimes containing that can get a little bit too much. He sometimes the divide between his heart and his head gets a little expanded. And, when he's got those two things aligned, I really love his energy, but a lot of that energy can force him to go in places that gets him into trouble sometimes. But, he's reckless and he's fun and he's fun loving and he likes to have a good time. So he's a fun character to play.
I feel like the Abbotts are kind of emotional beings. You guys kind of go in and you go all in.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with Big Brother. When he starts crying, everybody starts crying. We all end up shedding tears. The Abbotts are always doing this one. So
Peter Bergman can cry, though. Peter Bergman can cry. I mean,
Bryton's been working with him for a long time. He'll attest. He's a pretty legendary dude. He's one of the good ones for sure.
He can do it all.
That's a good question, actually, Bryton. When you work as opposite an actor who's that good, when they start crying, do you really get lost almost in their eyes, so to speak, when they start to emote like that?
No, you know what you do. It makes it real for you. It makes it that much more real, and it makes you become more real, and you start reacting to them instead of acting, which is what it's supposed to be. So, man, when you're in scenes like that, it lifts the whole room up, and you just try to keep up.
Now, Jason, I wanted to add. I think I've interviewed a lot of your colleagues and people who've done addiction storylines. I don't think I've ever asked this actually. How is it physically playing those addictive scenes when you went? Because I know for the Emmy, a lot of those scenes were from that episode where you're fighting with yourself and others. How physical is it for you?
I mean, well, it depends on the script and the storyline at some parts it's more physical than not. But yeah, I mean, I like to know physically what my body's doing. I like to have that alignment for myself. It's kind of just the way that I personally work is a little bit more, I like a little bit more of the method work for me. It seems to work well for me if I can try and fool myself to be in some sort of position. So, or a situation. So with the physicality stuff of like on the bed and whatever, it's, it changes on the day because we do one take and you have really great ideas about some way things are going to go. And sometimes they don't go that way. But I think what allows us to kind of free flow within those areas is just knowing that we've got to stay in it and just kind of get the scene done to a certain extent. So what I try to do physically is set myself up to then have a certain sense of freedom in the scene. And that includes physicality for me.
It must be hard because you guys do film really quick. You guys are like doing an episode, just like do this next scene. And I guess as an actor, that would be a challenge how do you stay open and present and free, but yet stick to the script and get to where you need to go? This must be a tough thing. that you're always working on?
Yeah, they give us a lot of, not a lot, but they'll give us some freedom to create our own vibe and movements within the blocking. I think that, it's going to be limited now. It's going to change a little bit. But yeah, the pace really doesn't necessarily affect our freedom to, interact with the sets around us.
Good. Now, Bryton,
I'm also getting an answer from somebody that basically doesn't even use a script. He's so prepared too. So
is he really? Oh my goodness!
Yeah, legendary. He's one of the everybody knows that Bryton comes prepared. But I would say on top of that, that kind of preparedness gives you a sense of freedom in the scene also. So you're not worried much about where you're supposed to be and the lines coming to your head and everything else. But yeah, but he's right. They do a good job of that. But it starts with a guy like Bryton being that prepared too.
Go on, Bryton. Okay, knowing your stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
It became a habit at a very young age. When I started doing this, I couldn't read. So aside from just memorizing my lines, I would have to memorize the lines of everybody in the scene with me. So
wow,
in the habit.
That's crazy. So do you know?
It becomes easy.
Wait a minute. So do you know everybody else's lines usually in your scenes too today? Do you usually know their lines, kind of?
Know a good amount. Yeah, a decent amount of their lines, I'd say.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. You have to understand what's being said to you to understand what you're going to say back.
That sounds good to me. I love it. But congratulations to you, because you also, this is an Emmy for you also. But for you, the question I kind of want to ask, I've seen other shows do this where the actor, I knew Christoph, great guy, very soulful guy. But when the actor actually dies in real life, but then the character dies also. So I know a lot of folks are just kind of like,
Sure.
I mean, you're seeing all of you guys, everyone does such a great job. I mean, when Eric Braeden as Richard started crying, I mean, I was just like falling apart. But it was a place where real life and real life came together. So how was that for you as an actor? Because you had lines and things you had to do.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've said it before, actually. The Christoph's real funeral service was probably a week and a half before we filmed those episodes, and being there, it still didn't feel quite real. And I don't think I just speaking for myself, but when we all got onto set that morning to do those scenes, you could see it just hit everybody, because that's where we grew up with them. That's where we lived with them. That's where, all the interaction took place. And just, I don't know, something about that setting, something about that made it come to life. It made it a reality for us all. And it's a tough thing, because there wasn't one bit of acting throughout, any of those episodes. It was just all of us trying to hang on and do the dialogue justice.
Yeah, and Shamar came back. A lot of folks came back, so that added to like the real life scenario. It was a beautiful. I mean, he got a great send off. He got the send off. He did.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was incredible. But I want to ask you, when did you realize that being part of the Winters family, how important that was for daytime television and soap genre, an African-American family who was, in business. And I remember Michelle Stafford, my buddy, said on one of my shows, when he first got his office, Neil got an office years ago, he was like, I got an office. Like, you understand, a Black man is getting a business and getting an office. Like, it's a big deal. I mean, when he died, every Black person in the world was just like, he was so important to our genre. When did you realize that?
I realized it over the course of my entire time on the show. I mean, from day one, I didn't know too much about soaps. I didn't know too much about what the Winters family represented. I knew that I was coming in with an important storyline that dealt with foster care. But once I got into the Winters family, as you said, and they had me working alongside Christoph at Lumen Enterprises, and we were always working under someone else, and just having talks with Christoph and Victoria Ralph about the importance of Black representation in our genre, it became glaringly important to me, and I mean, it was a huge day for both Christoph and myself when they wrote in that we started our own company together. We had, the Hamilton Winters organization to be right up there with the Newmans and the Abbotts, and so yeah, it's been something that I've become more and more aware of as years go by, and I continue to see how important it really is.
Yeah, it is. And Jason, you get to work with, I mean, powerhouse giants like Eileen Davidson, Peter Bergman, Beth Maitland, Jess Walton. I mean, what have you learned on this show about yourself in acting, working with these legends?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's when we get a script or we're going to work, what I find kind of blows me away is that there's so many capable actors on our show that it doesn't matter who you're working with. It's and they're hardworking and they really want to make it good, great. They want to put extra energy into it. There's nobody that just kind of shows up. I mean, a lot of times we run lines, we want to work it, and especially within that Abbott family there, those are some powerful women that you mentioned, along with Jess, and so accomplished. I mean, they've been doing it for a long, long time, and that's one of the beautiful things about our genre is that it can keep going, and you can see these characters evolve as a real life in front of you. And when I sit down with those people that you mentioned, it's always a laugh, it's always fun, and it's always committed, and it's kind of the way that I like it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could tell. I mean, again, you said these are all legends, all Emmy winners. I mean, they're all just people that just it shows Y&R has such a great production value, and the writing is always so good, and it just seems. I hate when people give soaps a bad rap. I'm like, watch Young and the Restless. Like, they give a good production every day. I mean, like, this is not easy work, is it? I mean, can you both speak to like the crew and how hard they work? Can either of you speak on that a little bit? Just someone give them a shout out.
Yeah, I mean, our crew is no one works harder than them. Not just, I mean, the crew and the actors as well. I mean, as we talked about a little earlier, the pace that we go, it's unmatched. I don't think there's anything else. I haven't done, every type. I haven't done stage yet, but the volume that we have to do and have to turn out in the amount of time that we have is definitely unmatched. And the crew goes right along with it because when, they're there hours before we show up and they're there hours after we leave, turn sets around and, keep the train moving.
Yeah.
Jason,
yeah, no, it's just, I mean, and it's just like even, I mean, over the years, we've all heard it say something, whether it's the lighting or the writing and everything, but that writing is happening every single episode. We have a day, we do it in a day. We do more than a script in a day. Most shows take 6-7 days to do one script and everything else. And so the writing, the production team upstairs, the crew on the floor, it's a machine that keeps on going, which is kind of profound what we're just coming out of right now with months of not working. This is, since soap started, this is the longest they've ever gone without being on air, and it's come to a grind. But the beautiful thing about that is I would imagine we'll be the first ones back up too. So, that just goes to show what kind of machine we are, and in a good way, and to put topical stories out for 30, 40, 50 years, and what Bryton was talking about with him and Christoph and what they built. I mean, soaps are able to do that, and we're able to be on the forefront of those kind of things, like General Hospital and the AIDS epidemic story and things like that. Like, we're able to do that, and we're able to maneuver with the times. And I think it's for people that don't necessarily really understand it or whatever, I think if you saw one day of shooting the way that we do it, I think you would walk away kind of pretty impressed with what goes on a daily basis. It's pretty incredible.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm going to ask you, Jason, have you had people reach out to you with sensitive addiction storylines? Have people come out and said things to you and shared stories with you, like online?
Yeah. And I think that there's always people, I mean, if we're doing our job correctly, we're connecting with people on that personal level. Yes, it's entertainment and everything, but if we're doing it well, there's familiarity there. And that's the point of it, when people can sit there and feel like they're not alone to a certain extent, that they've been through something like this. I'm sure, Bryton, you heard about it with the Christoph episode and everything also. And then one of the things that I heard was when people that lost somebody years and years back, and they still see them and they still feel them, and how difficult it is and how vulnerable they feel sometimes, and yet they still feel like, you know, they have to go on in life. But there's this, so I heard some of that too within that storyline with Delia. And look, it's a soap opera, but realistically we're based in real life, and you know, so it can hit home in a lot of ways.
Now I know you're an actor, but you just brought up a good point. I've always wanted to ask you. I can always ask, when you lose a child on screen, I mean, the whole child loss thing, when you were seeing your character was seeing her and stuff. I know you're a parent in real life. Just how difficult is that to switch to acting? I mean, how is that?
Yeah. I mean, there's levels to it, of course. I mean, you know, I tend to work from my own personal life. I've got my own personalizations when I work, and so it's kind of connected in that way. That's what feels real to me. At the same time, it is prepared work, so I feel pretty comfortable most of the time taking a minute to kind of, you know, shed some of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it hits home a lot of times when you allow yourself to go there, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable to, you know, what's inside of you, and have, I guess, enough bravery to kind of try and uncover it in a way. But yeah, it's always nice to go back to the real ones, you know, and get rid of the stuff in a way. Go back to they have no idea what I'm doing.
I'm sure.
They have no idea. So it's like, and my wife's busy enough that she's not too connected to it either. So when I come home, it's a pretty normal kind of life as far as that world. So I go back to cleaning up and making food and flushing toilets pretty quickly.
Yeah, I have grandchildren. They don't know what I do. They just know Papa Jamie does stuff on television. He does the interview. They don't even know what that means. Just like, when are you coming over? That's all they care about.
Yeah, I'm okay with it right now. That's for sure.
I love it. Bryton, so what does this Emmy mean to you? Because it's a second one for you, of course. But because of what you got, the scenes you turned in, the work that you did this particular year, what does it mean to you?
Well, first, any type of recognition in this way, it simply means that people that I admire, my peers, people that I learn from, they think that I'm doing a good job, and I'm doing my opportunity justice. But more than that, especially this year, you know, for it to be related to losing such a great friend and the person that paved the way for me to even be in this position, to experience days like, you know, like Friday night. You know, I wish I would give anything for those scenes to never have existed. You know, but I do know that, I mean, the show itself, we won Best Show, you know, because of the episodes that had to do with that storyline. And I just know that we've made him proud. I know that we're carrying on, the show is carrying on. I'm doing my best to carry on his legacy, and I think that it's a good representation of that.
It is. It is.
It's an honor. It's an honor. In every sense of the word, to be recognized and to be a part of a cast like this, to be able to share scenes and the stage with actors like Jason, to learn from them. I couldn't be more grateful.
On a side note, you know that MJ's passing just happened a few days ago, and I know he was somebody who was important in your life. When you look back at your time knowing him now, as you're older and stuff, what comes to mind for you?
When I look back at knowing Michael, oh man, he was one of the best people I had ever met, ever known. To be someone who chose to endure so much and take on so much, negativity, while his main goal was to just give back. I mean, I've heard, I used to have conversations with him where he'd be in tears on the phone about how people perceived him, about his intentions. And, his mission from day one was to do what he did, to give back. So to know someone like that and get to have advice from someone like that, the word that comes to mind is lucky.
Yeah.
Very fortunate to with that guy. I wish everyone on earth could have gotten to spend one day just talking to him.
And his kids are pretty well. His kids are doing well too. His kids are doing pretty well.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They're doing really well.
Uh,
They're doing well. So, Jason, now, what does this Emmy mean to you? You've been in business for a while. You know, it's lead actor Emmy. You know, on a role that you took over. I mean, how does this feel for you?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's interesting in a way because, you know, to be honest, I mean, this was my 6th nomination, so I'd had the amazing opportunity to be recognized by, like Bryton said, our peers and the people that we really admire a few times. And I've had some wonderful experiences not winning, ones that really helped me out as an actor and really helped me understand the industry and really provided a lot of energy for me to go forward and try and grow and to be better. So, you know, you have an idea that you're going to be at the show and you're going to be dressed up and you're going to be able to get in front of people and thank them for the wonderful things that they've helped you along the road. And then you find yourself when your time comes and you're sitting at home and you're surrounded by a family, which is incredible. Yeah. It's so in those moments, it was a confusing time and it was a confusing night, but it was like just an incredible, the word that comes to mind, honestly, is somewhat relief in a way. Just because, you know, to speak frankly, I always, in order to do it the way that I feel like I wanted to commit to it, I have to kind of set a goal, and that is to be, you know, somewhat of the best as much as you can. It doesn't mean anything about getting a man. It doesn't mean you're the best or anything like that, but it's your peers saying, like Bryton said, you did a good job. And that's really what it's about. You get an opportunity to be on a show, to do what you love to do. You get opportunity for story and to work with the people that we do. And, you know, you get a place to kind of play around, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think what we do best is that we get up and we do it the next day. And so for me, that drive that what this Emmy means is that it just means to keep going and to keep trusting what you do and to keep trying to grow. And, you know, there'll be that little thing sitting there wherever it sits. And I hope it's something I can teach my kids and just be like, look, that doesn't necessarily mean something. It just means that you should keep doing what you want to do and keep going. And I hope that that's a beacon for them as they grow up, you know. We'll see. It'll evolve over time, but I tell you that night it felt really nice. It felt really nice.
There's something to be said that your peers, your colleagues said,
yeah,
good. I mean, it's different than like fans and stuff. This is like your colleagues who are all in the business.
Well, we all know what it takes to do it, you know, and it's not easy and it's difficult. And yes, there are less shows nowadays, but that just goes to show how difficult it is to stay on the air as well. So, you know, I also would say that I think CBS stepping up and putting it on prime time and the numbers were pretty impressive. I think that goes to show how strong this community of ours is and that it deserves to be recognized in that kind of way. And you know, as CBS is one big family too, you know, I mean, I think that we only strengthen the brand of our network and everything else. And so I was glad that they stepped up and presented in that way.
Well said. I like that. Well said. I agree. And I'm so glad the ratings are pretty good. I like maybe next year they'll do it again. You know,
yeah.
Maybe we'll be in person next year this time. Maybe we'll be at because I thought it was a well-produced show, but it's just so weird.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. I thought it was. I mean, I wanted to be on the red carpet. I wanted to wear like my purple suit or something. I mean, all these things I wanted to do. I had to be at home, like the rest of you guys watching. So it's kind of. And Bryton, your reaction your thing went viral a little bit. Your reaction, they were filming you, and how excited you were when you actually. So.
Yeah. That was fun one to relive.
Yeah, great.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much. You both are assets to our industry, and it was an honor talking to both of you. Thank you so much.
An honor talking to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for everything you do too. We're all doing it.
Like I said, we're all part of the same village. We got to keep this going, folks. There's 4 soaps left. We're all together. Come on, folks. We're all together. I support all of you. So Bryton, tell me, if they want to follow you online, where can they follow you?
Follow me online. You can follow me on Instagram, Bryton E. James. Same on Twitter, and you can find me on a new platform called Billboard.
That's right.
BILDBORD on there too. Yeah.
You're working it out. And And Jason Thompson, where can they find you if they want to follow you online?
Yeah, Instagram and Twitter is my Jason Thompson. Yeah, it wasn't my regular name was gone by the time I got clued into the thing. So I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? So anyways, yeah, it's my Jason Thompson. Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hey everyone, this is Why in Army Spotlight. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me where all James Lott Juniors are, at James Lott Jr. everywhere, even on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, folks. I'm doing stuff on there. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying it, and I'm doing all this stuff. Follow me that everywhere. JLJ Media is everywhere, also on YouTube, all the streaming services. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. And watch Y&R, because they're showing some very interesting flashbacks episodes every week, and it's been a joy to watch and see all the past stuff and everything that's going on. So go ahead and continue to support them and support these two gentlemen also. And we'll see you all next time. Please stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask.